welcome back to the Case Manager Show. During the last segment, we talked about the fact that the District of Columbia is among the leaders in providing services for the elderly and people with handicaps so that they can remain in their homes and communities and do what we call age in place. In other words, they can stay right at home and get the care that they need rather than going to nursing homes, which we know are more expensive generally. And we are hoping that our services for our seniors and our people with disabilities do not get cut. During this segment, I'm so pleased to have with me some very special guests during this segment. And two of them are so special because they are my clients. I did the assessments. And beauty before age, my first guest is Miss Annie Ellerby. And Mrs. Ellerby is a Medicaid waiver recipient of home health services. And the next guest is Mr. Freddie Timothy Cotton, who is one of those informal caregivers we talked about in the last segment. And he's going to tell you how his life is caring for his father and how much better his life is now that he has gotten Medicaid home health services. And I have an entrepreneur at the table who provides cleaning services for the elderly and people with disabilities. And this is so important, and his service is so unique because many times our elderly, sometimes they have what we call hoarding behaviors, where they just collect over the years, and they don't throw away anything. And then one day they wake up and all of this stuff, clutter, has just literally taken over their homes. And this can be dangerous as well, with so much junk or clutter in one's home, because you can actually fall and hurt yourself, or I've even heard of people getting covered up and smothered under so much stuff, because some people, it literally goes up to the ceiling. So Mr. Hunter is going to talk to us about his services and tell you how he really did help someone who was in their 90s. So first, Miss Ellerby, let's start with you. How long have you been getting home health services now?
2 years.
2 years?
Yes.
And how has it been? How was it before you got your home health aid, and how is it now that you have her?
Well, it's much better now, because before, you know, I wasn't able to do anything because I had an operation on my arm, and I wasn't able to do anything. So I was so happy to get this help, you know.
Yes, ma'am. What does your aide do for you?
Well, she comes in and she helps me with my breakfast. Then she cleans up the kitchen, and then she helps me put my clothes on and stuff like that. And, you know, she goes to the store and gets my groceries, and she goes and she gets my medicine. Oh, that's a big help, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I don't feel like going, you know. Yeah, we go to the doctor, you know, we go on the bus, and she goes along with me, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you need a little help in the doctor's office, you know, like putting your socks and your shoes on. Depends on what you're going for.
Yes,
you know, you're going for your feet.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, in the doctor's office, you got to take your jacket off to get your blood pressure taken and all that. So it's a big help, and I really appreciate it, too.
Yes, ma'am. So you would be someone who would say to the government, please don't cut our services.
That's right. That's right. Please don't cut our service.
Because people need these services.
We need this service.
We need these services. And when I've been to your home to do recertifications,
yes.
Your home is just kept immaculate.
Yes.
And I am glad to see that your home health aide helps you to
yes.
keep your home tidy.
Yes.
And I know you like a nice clean
I
place.
do.
I know how you like your home, and I am just so glad that you are doing so well with your services, and I want to thank you again for coming in today.
You're welcome.
And on such short notice. We are so glad to have you with us today.
Yes.
My next guest is Mr. Cotton, and Mr. Cotton received services for his father only a couple of months ago. Is that right?
That is correct.
So tell us a little bit about your experience as a caregiver before you got the service and now that you have the service.
Well, I lived next door to my dad, and very difficult is the task of taking care of someone who is elderly. Many who have not done that may not really understand all that is involved in it. I myself do understand, and I find myself that I would be exhausted and tired, and maybe oftentimes not even really wanting to do any other things besides that.
Sure.
It kind of engulfs everything that you do.
It does.
Well, I had taken him, well, he had been taken to the hospital because he'd had a mini stroke, and he had been at the hospital, and once they brought him back home in an ambulance, I was standing there on the porch waiting for them to bring him up the stairs. And I'm just wondering, my God, how am I going to take care of this man now?
How old is your father?
Well, he is about to turn 87 years old in May.
Okay.
And, well, coupled with his age
Yes.
and dementia
Yes.
and other issues,
Yes.
it had grown even more difficult. While they were bringing him back up the stairs into the home, I'm just saying, my God, how am I going to take care of this man now? And then just suddenly a vehicle pulled down the street, and it had a lady got out of the car who we both recognized, he and I, as being a woman named Melva Mead from a program called Seaberry.
A wonderful case manager and social worker. Miss
She's
Mead
excellent.
Is. Yes, she is.
And she got out of the car, recognizing both of us, and asking, is he coming in or is he going out? I said, well, they're just bringing him back from the hospital. She says, well, once he gets situated, then how about you and I have a talk? So we did, and she provided me with a booklet.
Yes.
That included many services in it, most of which I had never been aware of.
Right.
And then in reading that, I discovered that there was a person's name in there and a brief description as to what the service is that could be provided. And it was this wonderful woman that's sitting in front of me right now, Miss Shirley Tabb. And in my despair and my exhaustion, my tiredness, I looked through the book and I called. And it was just like a breath of fresh air speaking with you at that time.
I'm glad to have been able to help.
And you came by very quickly the next day. And from the moment that you entered into our home, things tended to get better right then and there. I felt a calming come over me, and I knew that things were going to be okay. Things would be okay.
Well, thank you. I'm very glad that you were able to come, and they are saying that we are short on time here, so I'm going to get to Mr. Hunter. Can you tell us just right quickly, give us a summarization of your services, and I'm going to have you all back on the show so we can get dialogue even more than we have today about this, because I want to hear more about your stories. But just quickly, what do you do in your services that other people don't do?
Okay. In my services, we actually transform lives through the process of intensive cleaning. We provide services to the assisted living agencies, for particularly their caseworkers.
Oh, wow.
When they have a caseworker who's dispatched to provide care for one of their clients.
Yes.
And they'll get to the job site, and they'll find that their environment is unlivable.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've seen that hoarding.
Hoarding. One case, we had a 90-year-old gentleman who had been smoking in his house for 45 years.
Wow.
And it was a live-in job for the caseworker.
Yes.
And she actually rejected the work site until the place was properly cleaned with a professional cleaning company.
I'm sure.
So what we do is we go in and we do the intensive cleaning from ceiling to wall, floor to floor. Every single item in the house gets a thorough cleaning, including the air. And when we finish the job, the caseworker was actually able to stay and provide care. And the joke was actually with the owner, the person who was getting the care,
Yes.
was, who's going to make you happy now that he's gone?
Well, that is awesome. I mean, and that's a very unique skill set in itself, because
Yes.
And now when you say case manager live-in, you mean a personal care assistant, not the case manager.
A personal care assistant.
Okay, you're right. Okay, I
Right.
just wanted to make that distinction,
Okay.
because case managers generally are people like me who are social workers, or they are nurses, or
Right.
occupational therapists, and we do the initial assessments, as I did for Miss Ellerby and Mr. Cotton.
Right.
And we help people to link to community and government resources. So there have been some of my clients I probably would have moved in for a little while too, but I have so many other clients that I can't really afford to do that. But some people do require live-in care.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do have cases where we have hoarders.
Yes.
We did a case last summer with a lady who was caring for her mother, but she herself was a hoarder. And so she ended up actually cluttering 2 properties.
Exactly. And that happens. What about the epidemic that we have here in the district and around the country with bed bugs? Are you ever encountered, do you ever encounter situations with bed bugs?
We encounter all types of insects, and we deal with microorganisms as well, from anything from mold to mouse droppings.
Wow.
Which is also something that's common
Yes.
amongst a house that has a hoarder.
Sure.
Often you'll find the mouse droppings in the urine.
Yes.
So we provide service for the elderly so that they don't catch an infection
Exactly.
from contact.
Well, that's excellent. I'm telling you, I'm just really impressed with that service. And again, Miss Ellerby, Mr. Cotton, and Mr. Hunter, you have been fabulous guests today, and I so much appreciate you for coming in, and I'm so glad to know that your father is doing better with care now. And you know, you indicated that you are a retired police officer,
Yes.
and that being a caregiver to your father is actually harder than when you were a police officer.
Actually, it is.
Yeah, it's difficult being a caregiver.
Yeah.
And my goal for this show is to provide the community with resources so the caregivers and people like Miss Ellerby can get all the help that they need, because you have a right to age in place. We'll see you next time. Thank you.